Hello, fellow Megatenists! Nocturne's HD Remaster has been very dramatic so far. So far, the game's announcement rocked the world pretty much. It was trending more than SMT5 and Atlas itself when it was first announced. They also announced that following that, there would be a live stream, and that live stream gave us a little bit of interesting information that I kind of want to go over today. So first, we got the confirmation of who's doing the voice acting. We also know that Matador's voice, which I think is really bizarre. There's also going to be a merch sale featuring 100 demons as acrylic stands. I think that's a reference to the Hyaki Yagyo, which is the night parade of 100 demons. This is a popular image, so popular that even Kaneko himself drew it once before. Predictably, with a big announcement of a popular game, there's going to be an announcement of a collector's edition. And the Nocturne collector's edition is pretty awesome looking. You get the nightlight, you get a magazine full of cool development information, and you get a soundtrack with apparently some arranged piano mixes. Suffice to say, it was exciting. Atlas had to actually list a specific date and time where it would unlock and you could actually pre-order. And that's where some of the problems come in. First off, the pre-order system typically relies on a buying guide. A buying guide is something that usually you can use to figure out what stores that you prefer actually has the game. And that didn't go up immediately, so unfortunately, if you were interested in getting the game, you weren't sure if it was going to be available at Amazon or AmiAmi or wherever else you like to shop. Plus, the buying guide also shows if there's any pre-order bonuses that exist for that particular store, and weirdly, nothing had a pre-order bonus except Amazon. Anyways, to kind of go back into the timeline, the announcement happened, they showed that they were going to release it for pre-order, and nearly immediately, once the floodgates opened, it sold out. Sold out in under an hour, some cases under 10 minutes. Average was about 30 minutes per different place where you can pre-order. And it was really surprising because even before the end of the day, on Amazon, we already saw that the limited edition was being price gouged by scalpers on Amazon for about $80 more than what the original asking price, which was about $140. And this was further exacerbated by Persona Central promoting this to the Western audience. So the Western audience unknowingly paid for the scalp prices, because unless you unchecked the Amazon limited benefits version, you would be paying a scalper $200 to $300 for this ridiculous set, which we don't even know what the Amazon limited benefits are. But if you didn't check that box and you clicked no benefits, you would get the actual price, about $140. Following this, Atlas released a statement in which they said that, unfortunately, they're not going to be printing any more collector's editions, which begs the question, what the heck? This was super unusual because typically Atlas does made to order rather than limited stock. And I think that this way that it sold out was an indication of limited stock. This possibly could be because of the manufacturer. Maybe the pandemic impacted the manufacturing of the products, in particular the aroma lamp. But the most bizarre thing about it is Atlas does not have the Nocturne Remaster on their web store, the Atlas D Shop, which is usually the first place that you can find these sort of things. So that begs the question, will there be an Atlas Famitsu DX edition, which is pretty typical for these games? I actually can't remember the last time they released a game without one of these editions. After this news that Atlas wouldn't be reprinting or making more of these limited editions, something very sad happened. First off, the Japanese fans got pretty angry. Second off, geez, the scalpers saw that they can just stick it to you and they just raised the prices. So instead of being $240, now it's like $500 for a Nocturne Remaster with a aroma lamp, a magazine, and some music. Like, I cannot believe how bad the scalping situation is. And the typically calm and quiet Japanese fan base actually had some pretty interesting things to say about it. One fan mentioned that they had to call a bunch of different stores, some not even very close to where they live, in order to register a pre-order. and it took about 6 different stores to find one. Another one mentions that they wanted Atlus to actually address the resellers, and one of the most bitter, salty, and succinct responses was, then I don't need it anymore. So to me, this all reeks of a lack of communication, something Atlus is pretty notorious for at this point, and a lack of organization. Another thing that sometimes they can be pretty bad at. And speaking of communication, the most interesting revelation came from the live stream. Not necessarily the live stream itself, but what happened right after, which is all the websites updated. The Japanese website just included more with the character bios and story, but the Korean and Chinese versions had something different that they wanted to show off. In the character bios for those, at the very bottom, instead of seeing Raido, Kuzunoha, and Goto, you actually got a notification that those characters will not be appearing in this game. This obviously upset fans. Ugh. Unfortunately, it's a little difficult to gauge exactly how the reaction was because I don't have access to the Korean and Chinese social medias listed, but I was able to look at the Facebook pages for Sega Korea and Sega China, and yeah, suffice to say, they're not happy. Fans in the Chinese Facebook page referred to this remaster as the castrated edition. And the lack of response from Sega Atlus makes it worse. So we don't know what they're going to be doing in lieu of having Raido. Will they get Dante? Will they get a new stand-in? Or will they get the vanilla version that doesn't have true demon ending? This has kind of spawned a couple of really interesting theories, from maybe it's due to the Ministry of Culture, and China censors some things. Could be the GRAC from Korea, also, which has mentioned earlier this year that they're clamping down on certain things. Another idea is that this is probably due to Raido appearing to be dressed and is from the Taisho era of Japan, which has bad blood with Korea and China. So seeing a character who's dressed from that era in a militaristic garb, even though it's a school uniform, it's still indicative of being militaristic. Seeing that character seen as a hero might be objectionable, I would say. Though ultimately we don't know why, and we have yet to receive a response. But that sad news aside, there's some interesting anomalies that I kind of wanted to bring up as well. I noticed that the Japanese, Korean, and Chinese versions of the Nocturne website all feature a moon phase on the top left-hand corner. It actually aligns with the current moon's positions, which I think is really interesting. Though instead of having 8 moon phases like they do in the games, it has 15. Don't know if that's an Easter egg or some sort of relevant thing or clue. No one knows. The final thing that I noticed is that the Atlus website also lists DLC under all the different possible options on the Nocturne page. Whether that refers to simply the Merciful DLC, which will be free, or several DLC packs remains to be seen. I just hope that any additional DLC is simply cosmetic, because I know some people want more content. I personally don't. And I know that DLC is a pretty popular, if not anti-consumer way to deliver that sort of thing. Let me know if there's any kind of DLC packs you'd want. I know that some people want like someone else in place of Raido. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I kind of wanted to do this quick little update because there's a bunch of little things, and if I just bundled them all up, it'd be pretty interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye, fellow Megatenists.